Hey everybody, this is Brittany here with Surfing Waves of Light, and today we are going to pull a card and do a channeling. So let's see what the guides have to say. Ooh. Okay. We got the blue flame. Spontaneous awakening, activation, integration time. All right, so let's see what the guides have to say about the blue flame, activation, integration, spontaneous awakening. Greetings, dear beings. It is I, us, we, the Arcturian Council, with our beautiful sponsor and fatherly energy, Asante Germain, and we are ever so pleased to be with you all. We are a colorful mix of guides and teachers. We are a mashed up collective of the perfect vibrations which are here to serve this being. And at this time, we are more present on earth in physicality than we have ever been before. You see, the third dimension is in a deeply transitory state. And as leaders of the ascension process, any of you here listening to this video are a part of that brave brigade. You are all getting the opportunity, the benefit to experience the higher frequency dimensions first, to experience the restfulness, the peace, and the slowness of the higher frequency dimensions. What comes with that benefit is also an essential needing to slow down, an essential needing to allow your physical being, your mind patterns, and your essence to adjust. This is acclimatization, a practice that is often used in high altitude mountaineering. Think of yourselves now as high altitude mountaineers and future, if not already, guides. You are up in the higher dimensions, testing out the waters, seeing how physicality from this third dimensional video game which you've been playing will adjust to these new frontiers. As you know, when a climber moves from base camp, say, to camp 1 or camp 2, as they are acclimatizing to a mountain, there is all sorts of changes that can occur, none of which are perfectly expected. There is a list of ideas and symptoms ranging from the symptoms of high altitude pulmonary edema to high altitude cerebral edema and many others. And yet the climber will not know which kinds of symptoms they may face as they move into the higher altitudes. And this is what each and every one of you are facing now. You may be finding that you experience deep and heavy periods of exhaustion, of fatigue, and of needing to sleep or relax, followed by spurts of high frequency rainbow energy, where you feel tuned in and focused, ready to move and glide and to scale the new frontiers which you are awakening to. You must remember, just like ascending a mountain, every day you wake up in a new place. Every day you are looking out your window, and this is an entirely new society. It is like you are traveling, and yet many of you, we are asking to stay in one place, because each place on this realm needs a high frequency guide to help assist that community and that place in raising its vibration. And how do you do this? You attach your ropes to the side of the mountain, and you carefully, safely, and most importantly, through joy and peace, ascend. There is no rush. There is no timeline. There is no only one chance at a summit push. No. Because once you start to enter the higher dimensions, you realize that the highest summit of the third, fourth, fifth dimension is the lowest of the sixth, seventh, and eighth. And so what's the rush? Getting to the highest frequency in the fifth dimension will only open you up to the next level of the playing game, of the video game, of the matrix game, which you are all experiencing here. So we want you all to remember, as you move through this time, the blue flame energy, the activation energy, these awakening energies, they are super beneficial to your soul, but they must integrate. And that is where this acclimatization time must come in. You must schedule 1 or 2 days off where you have nothing to do, where you are able to follow your flow and feel into our presence, so that your perfect mix of energies, your perfect guides and teachers can show you the way, can light the trail into the higher frequency dimensions. In fact, even in adventurous situations in the third dimension, there is a well-known phenomenon known as the third man. And there are many situations in your history of pioneers and explorers who have gone through crazy and perilous journeys. One in particular where a ship was wrecked in Antarctica, and a captain and a few of his crew had to sail across 800 miles of open sea, hoping to hit one tiny island in order to get help for the rest of his crew stuck in Antarctica in the winter, in the snow, living on ice, living on rations, and dealing with that constant and unbearable cold. And yet, when this explorer got to that island, they landed on the wrong side and then had to pass through a mountain range thought to be unpassable. And yet, in this trek, there was a feeling amongst the 3 men who did it that there was another man with them, a 4th man. And yet, there was no one there, but they knew that there was someone with them. And this was the time before cell phones and GPS and all of the other intense geo-tracking and locator rescue help devices. And so, opportunistically for them, because they did not have phones and satellite GPSs to just touch and ring in to the help on Earth, they were forced to activate their help to us. And that is another thing you will all be experiencing. You will be handed situations that are above your pay grade, that will force you to question everything that you know about your life now. Not because downfall, madness, or any kind of negative event is about to occur, but because you've been living in the 3rd dimension, and it is now time for you to move into the 5th. And so there are going to be parts of your life that will be radically changed. This can be as extreme as moving to a new place, to changing relationships, or it can be as radical as someone who has not had any boundaries their whole life setting a boundary. And we want you to know that this 3rd man, this is us. This is the guidance. when you are feeling anxious, upset, or struggling to integrate these ascension symptoms that you are all so familiar with by now, we invite you to call upon us, for we can help you integrate them, for we can help you understand the anxiety, the chest pain, or the trouble breathing, or the dizziness or fatigue. We can help you to assess what needs to be done, what higher level thinking, high frequency energy thinking needs to be done in order to integrate the symptom. Because that's all symptoms are. They are messages. They are messages from your inner source saying that something is out of alignment, saying you're climbing the mountain too fast and there is no need, because as you race up the ropes, you are missing this beautiful view. And at this point in society's ascension, especially where you are all standing as leaders and guides of this dimensional change, we want you to know that if we are slowing you down, it is only because you are missing the beauty. It is only because there is a plethora of soul enriching experiences that we still want you to have. For even though the third dimension has been rough and tough and rambling and a rambling mess, there is so much beauty here. There is so much beauty in the stark contrast between sadness and joy, between heartbreak and a beautiful sunset. And this is all part of what makes this dimension so special, and what makes leaders and high frequency beings like yourself willing at this time in your soul's evolution to still come to planets and energies like this. It is because there is almost nothing as beautiful as moving through a contrasting experience into the higher frequency energies. For when you are in love, that contrast is not there. And yet when you are facing the climb of a mountain, it is the ascension journey that is the beauty, that is the process. The process becomes the most important part of what you're doing. And so when you are moving from one place to another, physically, mentally, spiritually, or energetically, we invite you to ask yourself, how are you doing it? Because that is the difference between the third dimension and the fifth dimension. It has nothing to do with what you are doing. You could be climbing the most beautiful mountain in the most beautiful realm, and if you are focused on not the moment, you will miss the whole thing. And yet you could be folding laundry or doing dishes or raking your leaves. And by doing it with a beautiful stroke, with a beautiful wash and rinse in a present flow state, this is the enriching experiences the soul wishes to have. This is the soul's currency, is beautiful experiences. And while, yes, you need to balance the needs of earth, the money, going to the bathroom, bathing yourself, all of the things that come with owning a body, same as if you own a car or a house or any other physical thing, these physical, dense energies require their care. And yet, once that care is done, you can fully open up the spirit and the soul to inhabit these bodies, to inhabit this livelihood and these feelings and these emotions, and honor every emotion that comes, knowing that a good cry and release from the soul can be just as enriching as finishing a paddle in the bay or surfing a wave that's really fun. Because it's not, again, about what, it's about how. It's about the gentleness, the softness, and the compassion with which you bring to each and every moment, knowing that everything is either love or a call for love, and that there is nothing in between. And as time continues to go on, because now you are not moving through time in a linear sense, now more than ever, you are spiraling upward. You are engaging in non-linear time. And non-linear time is all about the how. How are you doing things? That is what shifts the time and space around you. When we ask this being to go into her office and do her energy healing sessions, what she is doing is using linear time to engage in non-linear time. And right now, any time spent in non-linear time is your friend. Because when you use your mind to choose non-linear time, what you do is you say to us guides and teachers, I want you to create for me. I am going to surrender my time self, my mind that thinks it knows what everything is, where everything is, who everything is, how everything is going to work out. And I'm going to surrender all that subconscious and unconscious conditioning and allow you, the guides and teachers, coming from the highest energies, to move into the brain area and put the slide in front of the projector that is of the highest love and light. And every time you step into nonlinear time, you surrender your mind to us. And the longer you let the projector play on that slide, the more that energy will begin to physically emanate in your life. The higher you go in altitude, the faster the response. You've seen this when people are in the death zone, right? The death zone. This is a beautiful metaphor for highest frequency ascension energies and how creation and how time and space shift. You have heard, I'm sure, many stories of beings moving into high frequency altitudes and passing away in the death zone. Well, the death zone has a two-part meaning in our regard. One is that, yes, some people physically die in the death zone because the space between their fearful thoughts and the physical manifestation of them is much quicker in high altitudes and deep sea areas. This is because even time and space in its linear form has boundaries. And as you move away from sea level, which is the main level that time and space play out on, and you move into different dimensions, this can be a cave, deep in the ocean, up in the altitudes, in the jungle or the trees. These places all have different frequency energies, much higher frequency energies. Things will play out much faster. And so you will see people passing away. But what you will also see is people getting to the summit of Everest, and through that experience in the death zone, their death is not a physical death. It is one of an ego death. It is one of a transformation of mind, of body, and of spirit, where that being recognizes or realizes something about themselves that only that time, energy, frequency could facilitate. And so moving into higher frequencies is like moving out of time and space, but it is still anchored in time and space. And so there are many different liminal spaces with which you can exist. And you don't need to climb to the summit of Everest to find yourself in a high frequency zone where thoughts, fears, and loving manifestations come together to form the life that you lead in front of you. And this is the beautiful thing about being in a body. You get the experience of the ice cold and the hot sun and everything in between. You get to really experience those feelings and touch another being and look out off the horizon of any platform, whether it be your porch or the summit of a large 8,000 meter peak. It matters not. It is the how. It is the presence. That is how you move from linear time to non-linear time. That is how you become the conduit of what we need you to be, because you have all taken on large jobs, and these jobs don't come as dictating to others what to do or planning the future in heavy ways. No, your job is to embody each and every day the highest frequency aspects of yourself, of the knit of the blanket that is the oneness and life, and let that energy fully move through you, not blocked by thoughts, ideas, and beliefs which start in the mind and then are physically expressed in the body. And so when energy can move through, in from the crown, down, into the third eye, the throat chakra, all the way into the root and ground into the earth. And then the earth energy can do the same. When this channel is clear and open, this is the ultimate rope setup, we will say, to your climbing journey. And you no longer need to set ropes and chains and all the physical safety measures that this climate asks for. Now you can trust in your grounding, in your centering, and in your frequency, because when you are expressing in the highest realms, we do everything in our power to keep you on earth. For death is really a safety device here. It is a safety device for suffering. And so when a soul comes into earth and decides it wants to play out a lifetime, there is always the understanding that free will is the dominant force here. And free will provides a sort of soul level uncertainty. A soul does not know how necessarily it will handle different situations in life. And so if a soul gets really off track or is really suffering, they choose before they come in a level of suffering that is manageable for wherever that soul is in its larger path and journey. And so if a soul breaks the suffering barrier, that is when we come and extricate you from the planet. That is when we come and find the most loving and gentle way for you to leave your body. And so in the case of climbers that have passed in the death zone on Mount Everest or on other high peaks like Lhotse or K2, many of those climbers, their fears were so heightened and the cold was so intense that they actually hit their level of suffering. And so we came in to extricate them. And they decided to mark their place on this earth through being a body on a high altitude plane, one that is not reached by many, but for the some that go there. And in that way too, they allow us to leave our mark, because when we come to extricate you, we leave an energy there. And so that body becomes a marker for others, becomes a point in time for those who have decided to explore the intense aspects of this planet. And so there is always a gift. No matter how things play out, there is always a gift. And that is how you play in the higher frequency dimensions. You understand that life is happening for you and that you are just acclimatizing. And in that acclimatization, you have this unseen work that not everyone is carrying. Some beings are fully still higher functioning in the 3D. And this does not even mean that they are low functioning in any way. It is just that this planet is not self-sustained enough for every being to be fully embracing the slowness and the gentleness and all those other qualities that the fifth dimension is when embodied, when fully living out. That is what is needed. And so you are here to blaze the trail, and many have come before you. But this is the generation, this is the soul group that is destined to hit that full ascension and truly experience it. But we tell you, it is not the collective which needs to experience the fifth dimension. It is you. And once you experience that fifth dimension, you are the one. You are the one that actually shifts it for all. That is why on your planet, first ascents are such an important thing. In the climbing world, outside of Everest, there are many beings who wish to make first ascents of great climbs in Patagonia and in different ways at Yellowstone and Yosemite and all the places where these beautiful mountains are. And really, why an ego wants to have a first ascent of a place is because on a deep level, that soul knows that the oneness is here to explore Earth. And that as long as all the mountains and crevices and lakes and rivers have been explored, then that helps to shift this entire collective into the higher dimensions. So once one climber does a first ascent on a tricky tricky mountain climb, energetically, outside of time, everyone has reached that level of exploration, of accomplishment. And this is what you're doing in the spiritual realm. You may not be climbing a mountain physically, but what you are doing is you are climbing the mountain of creating a beautiful life for yourself, of creating a heaven on earth. And this is a first ascent, because there are so many different ways to live a beautiful life here. And yet we have strategically placed each and every one of you in different geographies, forests and rivers, mountains, lakes and oceans, flat plains and high ascents, high mountains. We have placed you all over because there are many different ways to live a beautiful life. And that is what you are doing. And so as you acclimatize to your beautiful life, you energetically, outside of time, change everyone else's lives without saying a word to anyone else. And so that is the game here. For in a way, most of the earth terrain has been explored. Yes, of course, there are rainforests in different countries, deep colds in other places that have not been fully mapped out and terrained. But as far as the third dimension goes, this level has been explored in all relevant realms. And so now that most first ascents physically are done, that is what triggered the first ascents in the mental, spiritual, and emotional planes. So we want you to remember, as you move through your day, as you move through time, and you feel fatigue, heaviness, anxiety, any of these we call software symptoms weighing on you, we want you to remember, you are solving a problem. You are navigating an energy. So imagine yourself moving from Camp 2 or Camp 3 through the Western Combe of Everest. This is the kind of spiritual problems that you're solving. It may not seem like a big deal to others around you. It may seem like you're just trying to figure out how to organize your day or live in flow, but that is the heaviness, the majesty of what you are doing. And so we want to remind you of all the unseen work on your desk, that we have given you piles and piles of unseen work, tiny problems to solve, to help you move ever more into flow, out of the third dimensional conditioning, from the lowest realms of the third dimension up to the highest ascents of the 8,000 meter peaks of the spiritual realm. And you are all doing a beautiful job. And those of you that are watching this video right now, you are at base camp. If spiritual ascension is the top of Everest, remember you are at base camp. So while others around you may still be manifesting and moving through the third dimension at lower altitudes, you are not. You have made conscious decisions over these past 5, 10, 15 years to be in tune with the light. And so you have followed your own path, and that has led you here. And even at base camp, you are still 17,000 feet above sea level, above the third dimensional level. And so we want you to remember that, and all that comes with that unseen work, those unseen papers on your desk, the processing you must do around a loved one who has an illness or a issue within your work or family. Whether you are meant to address it on the physical realms or not, there is that big pile of unseen work that is always with you because you chose to be a pioneer of consciousness in this lifetime. It is often unacknowledged, it is often unseen, and it is often very hard mental and spiritual and emotional work. And we want you to know that we see you, that we understand you, and that we hear you, and that we are always here for you. Whether you need to invoke the third man theology of ascents and adventures from the past, or you need to just bring us in now as you do in the ways that you do, we invite you to know that we are here for you. We're smarter than AI. We're more in tune than the most insane inventions on your planet. We are the ones that can connect you to the highest frequency, most loving information at any moment in time. And once a soul realizes what the game truly is here, then they will know that that is what they want. They want to be grounded, they want to be centered, they want to be connected. Because when you're tied into the rope at high altitudes, then there are only guarantees of love and light and of safety. And any challenges that present will be given a quick lifeline of our love, of our light, of our direction, so that you can navigate any storm, any jet stream, wind, hurricane, or unexpected challenge. For yes, life will be full of challenges. Even in the fifth dimension, challenges will present. But the difference will be the how, the softness with which you navigate them, the softness with which you see someone who has broken a law or hurt someone else. And instead of blaming and isolating and separating that being, understanding that they would have never done that thing if they didn't already feel separated. For you never hurt another you feel connected to. You only hurt those when you feel separated yourself. So remember, as you move through your day, your life, you have a giant backpack on of spiritual knowledge and ropes and gear, because you understand the weight and the capacity with which you are moving through right now, to shift from linear to non-linear time, to shift from the past and the future to the now moment. It is a giant undertaking. It takes years and sometimes lifetimes of training, but you are here. You have done the footwork in your past lives, in your present life, and this is the moment. This is the time. These are the energies with which you can manifest your soul's highest path and purpose. And it is the sweetest thing you can do on a planet Earth, is to move from a lower frequency dimension to a higher frequency dimension and experience that contrast all in one lifetime. It is truly a journey, but it is a pleasurable one, and the payoffs are in soul's currency equivalent to winning the lottery over and over and over again. And so we thank you all so much for tuning in to our energy, to our love, and to our metaphors. For we have been downloading this information to this being for many weeks now. And we have finally had the chance to sit down with her and to sit down with each and every one of you and share from our place in the sun exactly what you need to integrate, to acclimatize, to allow these light codes, which are coming in far and fast, getting them into the ground to minimize the suffering, to minimize the distortions, and help bring the collective of this earth into its most beautiful expression, one that you can live out and enjoy until you decide to leave your body and come into the higher soul dimensions and become a guide in that way. We are the Arcturian Council and Asante Germain, and we are ever so pleased to be with you, and we will speak to you again at another time. All right, that was the guides and teachers and their metaphors about Everest. And just remember the blue flame, awakening, activation, integration time. Don't forget that no matter what work you have on your plate physically, we are in the midst of a deep integration and activation right now. The energies are strong, and if you're here at this video, I know that you're feeling them. I love you guys all so much. If you feel like you need any support, I'm doing some really epic healing sessions right now in the studio in Beach Haven. It's been so cool to see how this work has evolved, and yeah, so if you feel called, come on down or reach out to me for an online session. I would love to hold space for you. And otherwise, I hope you have a beautiful day, and I'll talk to you again in the next video. Bye bye.